everybody. It is Thursday. It's not noon, but it is a Thursday, and I am Hayden Greene, which means that you are inside the Greenhouse Effect podcast once more. And last time go around for 2020 or 2020. Nobody ever says 2020. It's just weird. It's like everybody says 2019, 2018, stuff like that, but people don't see. People don't say 2020. Anyway, we are closing it out. It is New Year's Eve, or as one of my friends Nikita said today, better year, better year to you, better year Eve. So, what's up, Vinny? You got the alert? That means you're on board. All right. So I have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I want to keep it light. We might not even make it to a whole hour. Who knows? I always say it was like, oh, we'll never make it to an hour, and then an hour and a half later, we're still talking. Anyway, but we've had a very interesting year. This is the time for retrospection or an introspection. Everybody always looks back and starts looking at all the things that they've done this year. And 2020 has been one of those years where we've been taking stock of everything that we've done month by month. Because it's felt like 5 years in a row. So so by now most of you have already done your introspection for the year. But my wife and I were watching this show called Death to 2020. If you have Netflix and you have a chance to catch that, you should watch it. It's irreverent at best and hilarious at all times. And one of the main things about it was looking back and just seeing all the things that it's like, oh yeah, that happened this year. Oh yeah, that happened this year. Oh yeah, that happened this year. It's been crazy. And so I also saw something posted a couple of weeks back, and like people are going to talk about. It's like when you look back on 2020, what are your accomplishments? And we have to extend grace to people when they said, "Look, I just simply got through 2020." Right? Like some of us came out with adapted skills. Some of us have come out with better understandings of relationships. Some of us have gone on to new ventures or left jobs or got new jobs. So a lot of stuff has happened to a lot of us, but some of us have just been doing the best that they possibly can to just keep it at an even keel. So for those of you who have friends and family who that is true, extend them the grace to just simply said, I made it through. I didn't add on, or I didn't grab a new set of skills. I didn't learn French. I didn't learn how to bake. I didn't do any of that stuff. I simply stayed alive and kept it at even keel for the year, because that's real. It's absolutely real, and because this was a tough year for everybody. It's a tough year for people who are considered to be strong. Check in on your strong friends. Those people who are always taking care of the family, always taking care of the friends, always taking care of pets, right? Like check in on those people, because this has been one of those years that a lot of people have leaned on them, and they may or may not have had somebody to lean back on. And so it's a great time to do all of that stuff. This is normally a great time to also get rid of a bunch of clothes that you don't use, and this year that's probably not going to be the case. Some of us will be getting rid of clothes that no longer fit, for one reason or the other. Like there's some people who lost a lot of weight during the pandemic, and there's some people who gained a lot of weight during the pandemic and have to get rid of one or the other set of clothes. Then there are some people who, like me, I normally get rid of a bunch of clothes in December, right? So I go through all of the stuff that I've been, in my closets, and just trying to figure out what I had worn and what I didn't wear. And so in looking back, and I did that, I went through my drawers and went through all the things, and doing the season switch, right? So now I'm taking down the winter clothes and preparing them and putting them in the closet, as opposed to the summer stuff and summer and fall stuff. And normally this is around the time it's like, oh, I haven't worn that in a year. Maybe I don't actually need it. Well, the statement's still true. It's still true. It's like, yes, I haven't worn it in a year, but it's not because I wouldn't have worn it normally. It's because it's the kind of year that we've been having, right? So it's it's been a crazy year, and um, you know, I am looking forward to 2021. Um, uh, 2021. I'll even start saying it differently. Maybe that'll charge my mind into a new era, right? So I'm looking forward to 2021 and all that it brings. It is a brand new year. And hopefully things will be quite different than the way they were this year, because it was rough for a lot of people. We are closing out our year, and I say we, meaning the Greene family, with a new addition. We have a brand new Greene to introduce to all of you. No, Aisha has not been pregnant and gave birth. No, that is not it. We adopted a new cat. And she's a tabby, and I just want to make sure I'm getting any of the comments as they come in. She's a tabby. She is a rescue cat, so she was a street cat, and so we are now proud pet owners, and all that entails. So now I'm looking at stuff for pets and going down that rabbit hole, right? So we also have to get pet insurance, which is a weird thing to me, right? Because I know friends who don't have personal medical insurance but have pet insurance, and so that's a whole nother rabbit hole. And I come from the Caribbean. Caribbean people, y'all will, you know, harmonize with this vibration, right? So in the Caribbean, we have I have a whole new having a whole new collection of work from home attire. Yes, we all do, right, Vinny? So in the Caribbean, here's how pets work. You get a pet, and particularly this is to dogs. You get a dog. Dog lives outside. If dog gets sick, dog then dies, and find a place to bury dog's body. Get a new dog, right? So that's kind of like the process in the Caribbean. Like, it wasn't we didn't have the same kind of affection and indoor pets kind of mindset for animals. So like, pets were either guard dogs, and they were pets in the strangest sense, or the very basic sense of the word, right? So we had guard dogs, we had people, we had dogs that made sure that nobody came in the yard, right? We didn't really have dogs that lived in the house. And, I don't recollect a dog ever coming inside of the house. And so it was always a strange thing for a veterinarian, to like a veterinarian in the Caribbean took care of racehorses and did animal husbandry and all the rest of that stuff. They didn't take care of Pomeranians. So, and also with cats lived in and out. They would go in the house, they would go hunt, they would come back, they would sleep in the house sometimes, sleep outside sometimes. Every now and again they would get knocked up if you had a female cat, and then you had kittens, and then you had to get rid of the kittens. Get rid of as in find homes for the kittens. And so that's kind of like the mindset that I had when it came to pets. And so it's going to be very, very different here in this country, where I have to get out and find a veterinary a vet. Jeez, can't even say the word. I was gonna find a vet for this cat now, and possibly have bills associated with this cat, medical bills that with this cat. And I have seen pet owners, and I have friends who are pet owners who have told me, it's like, well, my pet has cancer, or my cat has diabetes, or my dog has leprosy, or some crap like that, right? And I don't mean to diminish the fur babies, and I get it, all right? But it's so mind-blowing to me that I have people that I literally know have higher medical bills for their animals than they do for their own personal selves. And that's a place that I can't level that off, right? Like we love animals, when especially when they're indoor pets and all the rest of that stuff, but it's the high cost of medical care for an animal that kind of like throws me for a loop every single time, right? So like, uh, you know, and here's the other question. So when we as humans have medical issues, um, when we as humans had medical issues, we know we know how to suffer, right? We know that if there's pain, there are things that we want to live for, so we'll endure the pain. Or we know how to endure pain because we understand that this medicine is going to make us feel better, or this treatment is going to make us feel better, right? And so I I don't really know whether or not we are being fair to animals, because they can't express to us as like, all right, I'm willing to live with this condition. I'm willing to live with this cancer and the cancer treatment, or I'm willing to live with the things that are being caused by my animal diabetes. And so there is always this, and I'm gonna get in trouble with a bunch of pet owners here, and I don't know that prolonging the life of an animal who is clearly in pain because you don't want to be without that animal in your family, I think is more animal cruelty than actually doing some of the things that people consider to be animal cruelty, and that's me, right? Like, take it or leave it. I just think that we have to be really smart about animals, and especially when the cost of keeping animals alive who are clearly in pain then impacts your financial status. So this is a debate that I don't expect to end right now, but like when you become pet owners, you have to start thinking about that. The first thing when we adopted the cat was like, you're gonna get pet insurance, right? I'm like, okay, sure, right? Like, first of all, I'd rather pay a small amount in case something actually has to happen to the cat, and rather than have to pay a very large amount. So I get that part of it, but like it was it was almost being shoved down. You're getting pet insurance. I was like, okay, but you also don't know whether or not. Anyway, but that's another story altogether. Checking in on the. All right. So yes, Vinny said it costs thousands. A new one is much cheaper. Vinny, you're cruel, and you're right. Hey Doc, Doc, I need you for a photo shoot that's coming up, and you're going to be really interested in it. 2020 has had a lot of negatives, especially with COVID and politics. The objective is to bring in the new year with a positive outlook, better health, love, and understanding. New year, new adventures, blessings to all. All right. So my mom says cats are not very expensive, says you. Alyssa says pet insurance sometimes costs more too. Yes. And not in the chat because I can't read that right now. But if you have suggestions for the great pet insurance for cats, send me a DM. We have a month free trial or something, and then we've got to get serious and get real pet insurance or not, right? So anyway, so we're cat owners, and the cat came to us. The cat's name when it came to us is one thing, and we're going to change it. But cat came to us as Pringle, and the cat will now be known as Puppy. It will be a cat named Puppy. That's right, because my kids have been asking for a puppy for years, and so now they have a puppy, a cat named Puppy, and they're fine with it. Don't at me. Don't talk about, well, get them kids a puppy. If y'all gonna come walk the dog, we'll get a puppy, right? So yes, we have a cat named Puppy, because that's just how the Greenes roll. So anyway, that is so that's the status of the greenhouse right now. We are trying to navigate pet ownership, and we're trying to figure this out and make sure that we are good pet owners and pet parents and stuff like that. The kids are very, very aggressive, so we are making sure that when they come with all those high energy, that they bring it down, and so that the cat doesn't get freaked out and live in the corner of our basement for the rest of its life here. So far, so good, though. She's let us pet it. It's around here somewhere. Um, and one of these days, and Anthony Otero will be able to tell you this, one of these days during the podcast, you'll probably see Puppy walking across, because that's what cats do, right? So anyway, so that's the cat situation. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today is that there have been a slew of new movie, TV show projects over the last couple of months, and we've got nothing else to do in this world, so we've been binge watching like almost everything, right? And some of it has been great, some of it has not been great, some of it has actually been bad. And the thing that has been driving me crazy is that everybody has to author a complete think piece on every single thing that comes out. And there are some people out here who literally don't want to like anything, don't want to be happy about anything, don't want to give any kind of credence. And so there are a couple of shows that have been the hotbed of discussion over the last couple of weeks. And number one is Bridgerton. Number two is Wonder Woman 1984. Number three is Soul. And to a lesser extent, we can throw in Queen's Gambit in there as well. And so a lot of this comes down on race lines. Some of it with the Wonder Woman 84 comes down on homerism. And so, yes. Yes, my wife is still angry about the fact that we watched The Undoing. It was supposed to be such a groundbreaking, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And we watched it, and it was like, "Okay, this is really, really not interesting at all." Or it wasn't. It was a perfectly serviceable series, but it was nothing really to the point where I would have been like, "Oh my god, I have to watch The Undoing." If you watched it and you liked it, that's fine, but it did not warrant the huge amount of fanfare that it got. Anyway, so here's the problem. There are people out here who will find fault in every single thing, right? And I don't want to call them killjoys because it's their point of view and it's their opinion. But there are some people out here who know that if I say this thing was great, that people will be less likely to read that article or that post, or they're more interested in hearing how this thing violated yet another one of the social norms that we have been trying to establish over the last year. And 2020 we've had a lot of racial issues in 2020. And so, everybody is hypersensitive now. And I'm here to tell you that some things are just simply not there. You can find, here's the thing, you can find issues in almost any situation. Like, you can find issues with racism, sexism, classism, colorism, ageism, the wealth divide. You can find all of that stuff in almost every single offering in TV and in the movies, even in books, especially in books, right? But at a certain point in time, we as a society have to be like, all right, they got that wrong, but the grand body of this work was good, and it was enjoyable, and I enjoyed watching it. Or I watched it for what it was, a farcical romp or a fantasy, or this wasn't for me, but it worked for the people who it was for, right? And there is, oh my God, it is becoming deplorable. We watched Bridgerton, and for those of you who have not seen it, it is a fantasy romp. It's a soap opera based in Victorian times, right? And people they got all up in a huff about the fact that the queen was black, which actually might have been historically correct. How is the Duke black? There would never be a Duke who's black in England at that time in London. The high society didn't look like that. Yes, we get it. Do you want to watch The Crown all over again? Fine. Go watch The Crown. This is not that. This is just and here's the thing, right? So these are people, and this is the problem that I have with most people. There is a group of people who cry foul on a lot of things who have not watched all of it. Who have not, and there's some people who haven't watched it at all and are writing think pieces. And I'm going to get to that in Soul in a second, right? There are people who are plastering their opinion all over the internet and influencing other people without actually having watched the movie or the television show. And so for all the people who were like, how could there be a Duke in England at that time? Why is the Queen black? Yada, 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 yada. Shonda Rhimes took the time to introduce a line and introduce a whole scene that explains why black people in England at that particular time have the status that they are. It is a fantasy. It is a fantasy, right? But she took the time. She knew that people would be like, well, how did this black guy become a Duke in England? And she's like, all right, I'm going to give you the key in order to unlock this fantasy so that you're not constantly sitting there going, well, this is not right. This is not accurate. You're right, it's not accurate. What is, right? And for those of you who watch The Crown, the people that it's supposed to be depicting will tell you that that's not accurate, right? So people get all in a huff. And then there are shouts of colorism. There were shouts, of like, why is Shonda Rhimes always have an interracial couple? I'm like, can y'all just sit back and watch it for what it is? It's a soap opera. It's Dallas. It's fantasy. It's Knots Landing in Victorian times. That's all it is. Like, you cutting off your nose to spite your face simply because you want to find fault in something that this woman has done. Get over it. I really think that people need to get over it. Right. Said it's not a history class, right? It's not. Just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. Then we had people who got all butthurt about Wonder Woman, right? Or Gossip Girl. And Vinny, I'm not going to say, exactly that, because I never watched Gossip Girl. And now I got questions for you, Vinny. So then we come to Wonder Woman. And people hated Wonder Woman, and people loved Wonder Woman. I know DC and Marvel fans who both hated it. I know people who were big fans of Wonder Woman, the original, in the comics or whatever, and then just like didn't like it or loved it, right? And for me, and I'll put my hand up, I didn't like it, right? It was too long. There were too many, like, how come that's there and this and that? There were too many dots to put together. They introduced Cheetah, and she's a cheetah for 10 minutes in the movie, right? Like, DC for me just doesn't know how to build characters and really get you involved in these characters to care enough that when something happens to them, you're like, oh, that thing happened. Now you're like, oh, she's gone? All right, cool. Move on to the next one, right? I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. It was too long. So that's me, right? Now, but when you express that opinion, and I did that, I would simply say, I wanted to like Wonder Woman. I really did. That's all I said on my Facebook post. And that post got like, blah, 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 blah. You're crazy. You're stupid. Anybody who didn't, and then I start seeing people posting on different pages, if you didn't like Wonder Woman, you're a misogynist. I'm like, whoa. It's like people are allowed not to like it. Now, this is not me. I know it sounds contrary to the other things that I just said, but I also said that people weren't allowed to not like certain things. But when people are trying to find fault for finding fault's sake, that's different. I just didn't like the movie. I didn't sit up here and go, it was like it was derogatory to women, or I didn't think that, or it was putting. I can't watch a movie with a female lead character, and that makes me a misogynist. That's not what I said. I have my reasons I didn't like it. If you like it, you like it, right? If you happen to like Wonder Woman, though, I'm not going to take any kind of movie recommendations from you because it means that we have different tastes, right? So that's simply it. And my wife is reminding me that Bridgerton is not in Victorian times. Yeah. So and so yeah. So that did an 80s movie in 2020 and rough start to Wonder Woman 2. Honestly, it was too long for a movie, too short for a series. Right. So again, but people got all kinds of butthurt because you didn't like it and then wanted to ascribe certain things to you because you didn't like the movie. It's like, I didn't like the movie just because I didn't like the movie. I found fault in it. But that doesn't mean that I'm a Marvel sycophant, right? That's not what it means. It means that I didn't think the movie was well put together. I didn't. Right? I didn't like the male character lead, the male villain lead. I think that the wish gnome thing it didn't work for me, right? But that's okay. I'm allowed to not like it, but it doesn't make me a bad person or somebody who is crazy about stuff. Like they're like for what is the classic movie that is polarizing on people? I forget it now, but there are a couple of movies that are like that. It's like, what do you mean you don't like that movie, right? And people are like, well, it just didn't do anything for me, right? Anyway, so that's the other piece, and then there are people who are such a stand for a particular character or a particular franchise, i.e., Wonder Woman or DC, that they're blinded by stuff, right? And it's like I know when I'm a Marvel stan, right? I love Marvel movies. But I can tell you when there are Marvel movies that I don't like, right? I did not like Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? So and I know, as you watch it back, people are like, oh, well, it's actually a pretty good movie. Like that Ant-Man thing, I think the Ant-Man thing had to happen in order for the Endgame movie to actually happen, because they needed that, and if you haven't seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. They needed that piece in order to make it viable, right? So, but I just think that people get all butthurt about stuff, which brings me to Soul. And this is where I thought I was going to lose my ever-loving mind. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar, and I'm making this face because this drives me crazy. For those of you who are not familiar, animation houses have this thing where every time there is a lead black character or a lead character who is voiced by a black actor, that character tends not to be in a human's form, right? So it's, Eddie Murphy as the donkey. Princess Tiana spends 30 minutes as a human and spends the rest of the movie as a frog. Things like that. And so there's a whole long discussion about the fact that black and brown characters don't get to live as authentic humans, but have to be some sort of transmorphication, right? And so Soul is a movie about this jazz musician, and somewhere along the line, I'm not going to give away anything because this is in the commercials. Somewhere along the line, he gets transformed into a blip, right? And it's like a oval with a hat on, and so again, transmorphication into a non-human form, which is the opposite of the other piece that Disney does, which is the anthropomorphication of animals and objects, like Forky from Toy Story. All right, so it happens again in Soul, and there are entire articles about this is BS. This is every time they have a black lead, they do this, and they keep on not allowing black people to live as black folk, and I swear to God, it has the only way you can write that article or the only way you can write posts like that is if you have never actually seen the movie. I watched the movie. It's a great movie. I mean, it's not one of. For those of you who know me, I take movies and I break them down, and I actually do presentations on movie using the ideas from the movie to tell stories. Right, like I do a whole leadership workshop on using Pixar. I use what do you call it? Zootopia to teach social justice issues, and I break down Zootopia and correlate it to the way that social justice issues present themselves in real life. So I'm a movie file, right? A cinephile, right? I understand movies and I get it, and I know the things that I'm looking for. Soul was a good movie. I enjoyed Soul, and here's the thing: the black character, the human version of the black character is I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't give away the plot of the movie, but you see the human form of the black character for the majority of the movie, right? You see it, and there are other places that whoever was in charge of this movie took painstaking effort to make sure that it was authentic. That barbershop scene where he's getting a cut and they're talking in the barbershop and what the barber looks like and what the shop looks like and the music that's playing and the jazz club scene, somebody took time to say this is something that we need to get right. And even if even if you have issues with the main character and the cat, and I'm not going to say anything more than that, if you have issues with the main character and the cat, then you can't possibly have issue with all the other ways that they took an undue amount of effort to make sure that they got it right? That they made sure that you were properly represented, right? Like, and Aisha's like all the restaurants in the background were black and brown owned, right? So it's like you want to be angry. There was one, I read a commentary on somebody's page, and somebody said, I liked the movie, it was great, yada, yada, yada. Somebody responds back to them, oh, you didn't have a problem with the Tina Fey character? And people were like, what? No, I didn't. Like, what was your issue with the Tina Fey character? And the response back was, oh, I didn't see the movie. I just heard that the Tina Fey character was yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh my God, now you're commenting and you haven't even seen the movie yet. So we live in a time where people want to poke and prod and really show things that are sometimes there, but A, are minor, or B, a misstep, but definitely not nefarious in the way that people are projecting them to be, right? When you talk about Queen's Gambit, there was an article about Queen's Gambit and her friend that she meets in the orphanage. And if you watch the series, she comes back around, and I'm going to be a little bit of a spoiler here, but it's not pertinent to the actual point of the show, right? Which is another point, right? Because there is a trope in movies called the magical Negro. And one of the most famous magical Negroes was Michael Duncan. Is his name Michael Duncan? In the Green Mile, right? Literally a magical Negro, and it's these people of color that show up and somehow save the day, or belief in them, or them being around makes everything okay, right? And so, and Victoria is now responding back about the magical Negro part. I didn't think that was a magical Negro part. This is a woman who left the orphan, and by saying that, has left the orphanage has done well for herself and has come back to work with a friend, right? John Coffey was the character. I forgot the name of the Michael Duncan. What is his man? He passed away too. Can't remember his name, the actor's name. Um, so I think that everybody in that movie, that series, was trying to help this woman become a better chess player. Everybody was magical to her. Like, people were calling in, and people were allowing her to stay in her place, and everybody was trying to move her forward. And here comes this woman who also tries to help her along, right? And I didn't think it was a magical Negro part. And ascribing her that role takes away from the fact that she pulled herself up from the depths of being an orphan and lived her entire life in an orphan to go into law school, doing for herself, and having enough. Uh, Michael Clark Duncan. There we go. And finding enough in herself to move her life forward and being in a position to be helpful to this woman who everybody in that series was being helpful to. And I think we get caught up in the fact that just because it's a person of color, that this must be that trope, and that's the part that really just throws me off. And it's like, again, I think that we have, yes, I did say that there was a lot of spoilers in this last one. So I just think that we have a lot of stuff out there to watch. And yes, we can find a ton of stuff to complain about. And there's a lot of places that people are not representing people of color, or not representing women, or not representing people, all these kind of different places. But I think that if we get in the mode of always trying to criticize and complain about every single thing that we see on the screen, we're going to be miserable. And it's been a tough year, right? I want to be able to watch the Queen's Gambit and not worry about that trope. I want to watch Soul and not have to worry about, it's like, oh, here Disney goes again, or here Pixar goes again, and enjoy it for what it's worth. Entertainment. And I know I'm the first person to tell you that images on the screen are important and representation matters. But I think that we cut our nose off to spite our face if we keep on, every time somebody doesn't get it 100% of the way right on a particular piece of representation, that we're like, oh, shut it down. We're not going to participate in that. Just keep it moving. Keep on pushing. It's like, this was great. Missed the mark over here, but keep coming with that stuff. Keep coming with that stuff, right? So I just want everybody to be happy. I want us to be, she specifically said, I am not just your savior, I am your family. And I thought this lead knows that she is connected to the people and what. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And again, Vic, we can break it down, or you can enjoy it. Right? Because like it'll drive you crazy, right? It'll drive you crazy. Anyway, so I just think that we have a lot of stuff that's going on in our worlds, and I think that there are places that people try to treat us as magical Negroes in the real world, or disembody our souls from our bodies in the real world, or treat us that's less than our gender deserves in the real world, or yell at us for having interracial relationships, or ascribing to positions that don't normally have people who look like us in the real world. So I think that at a certain point in time, let the farcical stuff be farcical, and help to keep on moving the dial, and hopefully we can get it right. Couple of things that I want you to watch before the year is out. One's gonna make you angry, one's gonna make you sad. I know, right? First one is Canvas. Canvas is probably the saddest 7 minutes that I have watched in a very, very long time, since the beginning of the opening scenes of Up. But it's a beautifully told story in 7 minutes. It's a short film, right? The other one is Cops and Robbers, which will make you angry. And it is a great piece of poetry that is put to animation. And it's just one of those stories that we keep on seeing and we keep on hearing. And I think that we have to, when you see it out the way it's presented, it just brings it home even more. I was telling my wife I wrote a piece that was quite similar to that, but this guy just really knocked it out the park with with the corollaries. So, watch Cops and Robbers and watch Canvas. Also, if you're looking for something to watch and just to take a look back on this year, and this is going to be more comedy than anything else, watch Death to 2020. It is, oh my God, the best thing that we've watched in a long while. Also, watch Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. You want to see two Oscar-winning performances by oh my God, Chad Boseman and oh God. This is what happens when you do a podcast before you eat, right? So those two performances are phenomenal. So make sure you watch Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. I've been talking for a while. She got the money from my bag, right? We do need to make sure how we hold people accountable and tell our stories. Yes, we do. I can ignore. Okay. I think we should stop sweating the small stuff when there are more important issues on board. Have you checked the series on Prime about Jamaicans in England? Is that the Small Axe thing? We have Viola Davis. Holy Christ! I thank you. I'm actually gonna start thinking about taking memory pills because some of this stuff just slips away from me sometimes. I just cannot bring it back, and like I can see her face and just not pull up the name. Don't get old. Getting old sucks. Trust me when I tell you. Just stay young for as long as you can stay young. You young whippersnappers out there, especially the one upstairs who is 10 years younger than me. Don't get old. Just don't. And get off my lawn. Yes, Small Axe. I just remembered that we were supposed to watch Small Axe, and we have not checked it out. But I heard that the accents are really, really bad. And I think that might have been the one thing that stopped me from watching that. What I have been watching, though, is memes and videos of my man getting smacked upside the head with a can of Twisted Tea. And so, whoo. So I read an article. It's like, we do not condone violence, and we don't think, we think that people should use their words and not resort to violence in order to solve their problems. But God damn, when you get called a nigger as much as that young man did by somebody who was clearly inebriated, what he needed was one more drink. One more can of Twisted Tea would have set him outright. The thing that was funniest was that after this is all said and done, and he was getting himself pummeled, and he got a Twisted Tea to the head and the whole 9 yards. He goes, "Nah, man, you got it. He got sober real quick. When he was getting his butt pummeled, he got sober real quick, and it was like, nah, you got it. You know what? I was wrong. This is you put me on the right track. I'm a go head out, right? Got sober real quick, and so if there is a better way to end 2020, then I don't know what it is, right? Because that like, and the memes are just that, right? The memes are like, for everything that you want out of your life now, just have some Twisted Tea and smack the heck out of it with a Twisted Tea. Somebody talked about the fact that the Twisted Tea needs to pay this guy for all of the advertising that they're getting, and it's like, but they're not getting it for people to buy it. People are buying it as weapons. People are putting it in their glove compartments in their cars, and it's like, oh, just in case I catch some problems, I'm gonna just use this Twisted Tea. It was bananas. But yeah, so I wanted I wanted to close out this year and this podcast with saying thank you to everybody who. Oh wait, before I go, Doc, I hope you're still on here. I wanted to uh, congratulate everybody who went out there, who was in line to get the vaccine and went ahead and got it. Um, I do think that we have to be steadfast in what we are doing when it comes to this virus, and the vaccine is one aspect of it, and the taking care of each other is another aspect of it. And for those of you who are staying safe and staying home and not spreading the disease, they're shutting down parties right now. There are secret parties being planned for New Year's Eve because people can't stay there but home. Secret parties being planned during New Year's Eve, and the cops are out here trying to shut it down before it happens, but are definitely already have the information. So if you think your party's secret, somebody has already leaked it. There's an old saying, it's like the only thing secret about a secret is how many people know the secret, right? So if you think that it's a secret and that the cops don't already know that you're having a gathering, then you the fool, right? So those of you who are friends and loved ones of mine, please be safe out there. Don't be stupid. It's not worth it. You have a whole lifetime ahead of you, and we'll come back around to this if we are safe about it, right? So don't go out there in these secret parties. Be safe and be smart. There was a report that there is a new strain of the virus coming around, and again, they've also said that viruses mutate, and there's always going to be a new strain, which is why you get a flu shot every year, because the flu virus mutated into a different virus, and you have to get a new shot every single year. This thing has been around for a year. This is what we expected to happen. The good thing about it is that even though it's more contagious, it's less deadly than the original one, and apparently the vaccine will also take care of that virus as well. Which brings me to my last point. I saw an article on the news the other day. It was like one of the nurses that got the vaccine also got the virus a couple of weeks later, and people are using this to point us like, see, it doesn't work. It was too soon. One thing, number one, it's the first. They're still in the first dose, so the vaccine doesn't make you immune. Okay. Number two, if by the time you've gotten to the second dose, you probably have gotten to the 99, and therefore would have been closer to immunity as you possibly can be. That's number two. Number three, the virus, as I said, doesn't make you immune. It lessens the effect of the virus if you actually contract it. So for those of you who actually take the flu vaccine, and there's a possibility that you catch the flu. But if you catch the flu with the flu vaccine, what will happen is that your symptoms will be light, right? There are people who catch the flu and die. So the flu vaccine is just making sure that you are not one of those people. So I just wanted to make sure that for the 6 people that are listening to me right now, that when you start hearing the news about a new virus strain and people catching the virus even after getting vaccinated, that you understand the whole picture. The vaccine still addresses this new strain because it was developed in the same time that the new strain was coming along, or any new strains, and it was wide enough. They talked about the fact that it hit enough of the nodes on the virus to make sure that all of the people, or all of the future iterations of the virus, were also taking care of it. Yes, the president said that he's immune. He's immune from intelligence. That's what he's immune from. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that everybody gets out there and doesn't spread any kind of bad information, or don't go into hysterics when it comes to this thing. And Austin comes running in the door as we're playing the last song. Oh, man. What's really funny about Austin jumping in right now is that I posted that I will be doing the show at 5 o'clock. And his wife said, You're doing it at 5, not noon. And he corrected her and came at her and was like, yeah, would you think he was lying about the time? And now he forgets. It's hilarious. Anyway, I wanted to end this year and end this podcast by saying that I am so thankful for those of you who listen to me ramble once a week for an hour or 45 minutes or however long it takes for me to get my thoughts out. This has been cathartic for me, but I've heard that it is also cathartic for you guys as well. I hope that you support me in everything that we are got planned for next year. I wish you all health and wellness, and I hope that 2021 will be a year that is full of prosperity for you, that a year that will take you into new and exciting places. I hope that we can get back to the place where we can be around each other more freely, because I really miss seeing all of you, but I am thankful that I have this arena and this outlet to be able to talk to you in at least in this format. I want everybody to be to get out there and be safe. Well, don't get out there, stay home. I want everybody out there to be safe, to be smart, and I wish all of your resolutions that you're able to hold on to them for as long as you possibly can. This will be the first year, or next year will be the first year that gym people are not complaining that they can't find a machine because all the gyms are closed. But, you know, it's a time that we will spend together with friends and family. And I hope to see you all in 2021. And everybody stay safe. Have a beautiful and better new year, like Nate taught us today. Have a better new year and enjoy your family, enjoy your friends. And I will see you on the other side of town. See you later.